I want to say thank you so much for stopping to watch my video. I really appreciate. So may God bless you. Now, today's video is all about China ignoring the sanction Donald Trump made on Iran. You know that most of the oil are coming from the Strait of Hormuz to Iran, Russia, and other parts of the world. And since this crisis between the US and the Iran, it is affecting both China and Iran itself, because Iran is no longer making money they used to get on the Strait of Hormuz, and China itself is no longer getting oil and gas as they are getting before from the Strait of Hormuz and also from Iran, because most of the oil tankers coming from the Strait of Hormuz goes to China and other parts of the world. But from this video, you will realize that China president ignored the sanction US made on Iran because of the crisis between the US and the Iran. And through this, it is said that US is now producing, exporting the highest amount of oil and gas. If you combine Saudi Arabia, you combine Russia, US is now producing more oil and gas than them. Now, make sure you watch this video from the beginning to the very end to get more informations. When we come back, we discuss. Enjoy.
And we've seen just enormous loadings of American crude. In fact, if you look at the last, 30, 45 days, the biggest exporter of oil in the world, is the United States. So yes, we have reserves, we have the ability to produce oil to supply not just the United States, but also our friends and allies.
And that's Energy Secretary Christopher Wright with me this week on Mornings with Maria on Fox Business on the U.S. producing more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined, as President Trump unleashes America's energy independence that was stifled under the Biden administration. Now, new reports that China is directing its companies to ignore U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil, which applies to several Chinese refineries, and they are accused by the U.S. of buying crude oil from Iran, including a network of independent processors known as teapot refineries. On Monday, an oil tanker marked China owner and crew was attacked in the Strait of Hormuz, causing a fire on the deck. President Trump is set to travel to China on Thursday for a high-stakes meeting with China's President Xi Jinping, as we discussed. The two leaders are expected to discuss Iran, AI, tariffs, and potentially Taiwan. Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is Pennsylvania's Senator David McCormick, who sits on the Senate Energy Committee. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, good morning, and happy Mother's Day to all your viewers. Dean and I are here in Pittsburgh with my mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and one of our daughters. So great day in Pennsylvania.
Well, happy Mother's Day to your mom and to Dina. We so appreciate you being here on this special day. Senator, you've been working on a bill on permitting, and I want to get into that because this is really important. The president put several executive orders in place to cut down regulations, make it easier for the oil companies to drill, baby drill, and we need to see those things codified. What do you want to say about this bill and the likelihood that, in fact, it does get these things codified?
Well, there's an energy dominance, moment of abundance happening in America based on what President Trump has done. It's been incredible. I just saw it over the last couple of days. I went to Homer City. They're in the process of transitioning a coal-fired plant to a gas-fired plant that will create 4.5 gigawatts, the biggest project in the country today. That's 1% of all of America's energy demand. So we are becoming a huge net energy exporter. And you can't say AI without saying energy dominance, too. So this is incredible for the people of Pennsylvania. It's incredible for America. And the president's agenda has to be solidified. And we need permitting reform to do that. It takes about 6 years to get an energy project permit. It took 3.5 years to win World War II. We can do a lot better than this. So my bill essentially restricts the amount of time for review to about a year, ensures that once decisions are made, they're final. And regulators have to give justification if they turn down a project. So basic, so common sense. But if we can do these things, we're going to unleash $1.5 trillion of capital into our economy. It's not just energy policy, it's economic policy.
It sure is. And national security policy, I would say as well. And in keeping in that theme, what do you want to say about the Strait of Hormuz and this war in Iran? Senator, your military background is a central part of who you are and your identity. You are a former Army officer, West Point graduate. You are a Gulf War combat veteran. Where is this war right now with Iran? Do we know if the Iranians have accepted or rejected President Trump's proposal? And are you expecting the free flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz soon?
Well, I think we're at a crossroads. There's no doubt that phase one was an extraordinarily successful military operation. The president's goals, destroying the missiles, destroying the drones, destroying the launchers, and destroying the manufacturing capability has been wildly successful. And now the Iranians have a choice. They can move down a path to peace and prosperity. The great Persian society, the great Persian people, is a great civilization, but it's been run by radicals for 50 years. If they give up their enriched uranium, give up their nuclear weapons and the path to nuclear weapons, there's going to be a great opportunity for them. But it's unclear whether they're going to go down a path of reason. If they don't, the president's made clear that we have the military capability to put additional pressure in place. The blockade that the president put in place has been wildly successful. It's putting pressure not only on Iran, but also on China. I'm sure this will be a topic of discussion with the Chinese president. So I think we have to wait and see. I'm hoping the Iranians will go down a path of peace, but we have to be very careful. They are not trustworthy. It's in their interest. It's in the world's interest, but it's in their hands.
You've got a big week ahead as well as you return from recess. Senator, let me get your take on the Clarity Act and on Kevin Warsh. We just heard Kevin Hassett say he has the votes. You're in the banking committee, obviously, and he passed that. Are you expecting Kevin Warsh to get confirmed next week? Does he start in his new job Friday, even with Jay Powell staying around as governor? And what about the market structure bill, the Clarity Act, next week?
Well, I think that Kevin Warsh was a fantastic pick by the president. I was honored to be able to introduce him. I do think he'll be confirmed this coming week. It could go into the next week after that, but certainly prior to the end of Chairman Powell's term. Listen, I think we need to move forward. I think the Fed will do so under Chairman Warsh's leadership. I don't think it really matters what Jay Powell does. I hope he'll eventually step down. That's the precedent. But this will be Kevin Warsh's Fed, and I think it'll be his to lead. And we're lucky to have him because it's a time of great uncertainty and change. With regard to the Clarity Act, listen, I think we're on the verge of an agreement here. We've been saying that for some weeks now, but I suspect there'll be a markup in May. And I think this is going to be very necessary to ensure consumer protections, to ensure certainty for an industry that's burgeoning. We want to make sure it happens here in America, not offshore. And there's been great leadership by a number of my Senate colleagues, Senator Hagerty, Senator Loomis, Senator Moreno, who I know you have next. That leadership, I think, has put us in a place where we can hopefully have an agreement here shortly.
And Senator, still no agreement from the Democrats in terms of funding ICE and Border Patrol. What are your expectations for the reconciliation package? Will you be able to get that on the president's desk by June?
I think we will. Listen, this has been absolute political theater by the Democrats, by Chuck Schumer. If you ever doubted their ability to drive over a cliff, to not pay members of TSA, the Secret Service, CISA, our cybersecurity protection, in a time when the threat is growing, they're willing to do anything to try to go after President Trump, even hurt the American people or the people who serve us. Republicans have found a path through that, which is ultimately to fund ICE and Border Patrol through reconciliation that'll go past the end of President Trump's term. That'll make sure that the Democrats can't hold the government hostage. Again, I'll never vote to do that. I think it's a disgrace. And so we're going to get through this thing. And it's been, unfortunately, several machinations to do that. I apologize to those who serve us in TSA and in the government that haven't been paid or have been paid and then not paid. But I think we're at the end here, and we can move forward. But the Democrats have absolutely really done a disservice to the great people who serve us.
And I know that the president wanted the Save America Act in there, but you have to do this slim bill and deal with the reconciliation for appropriations, which is crazy. But, Senator, do you expect another reconciliation package before the midterms to include, and would it include the Save America Act?
Boy, I sure hope so. I would certainly support a third reconciliation There are elements of the Save America Act. Listen, no one understands how important it is that every vote that's counted be a legitimate vote. I lost my first election by 900 votes and won my second by 15,000 out of 7 million. So this is incredibly important. And whether the facts of illegitimate voting are small or big, they're big enough to make a difference and change the course of history. So we need to address this with voter ID, and I think there's a possibility of getting some version of or parts of the Save America Act in a future reconciliation. I will support every and any aspect of that. We need to get this done. The American people don't have confidence in their elections, which is a real tragedy, and we in Congress need to do everything we can to stop it.
What do you have to say concerning this video clip you watch? I hope you heard everything. Drop your opinion. But in addition, US is now producing more oil and gas than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined together. Does it mean that now US is producing oil more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia? Because Russia and Saudi Arabia are the countries, one of the countries, joined with Venezuela, the countries that produce more oil than other countries in the world. Now, how did US do this magic? Honestly, this is a very powerful question. Everyone need to know. Drop your opinion in the comment section. For more news and updates like this, subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one, and bye.